Hello, thank you for joining Welcome Monday. I have my very first guest, my friend, my brother, Mr. Joseph Williams.
How you doing? The misunderstood social worker in the building. How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing great.
Thank you for having me.
Great to be in your presence, brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
We're just gonna give it a few more moments, wait for a few people to join, and then we'll get started. We're talking about mental health this evening. Hello, Mr. Patrick. How are you doing today?
Hey, Patrick.
Candace, Miss LSU Tiger, we're number one, baby.
Oh.
Yes, Tigers, number one, AP in the coaches poll, with AP poll.
What is LSU?
LSU, Louisiana State University.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
I'm just playing.
You need to get better knowledge about it. Right? he knows the Tiger. You're just kidding with me.
Right.
Hello, cousin Lena.
Shout out to all my LSU people.
Go Tigers.
Tuskegee in the building. We have Tigers too.
See, the Tuskegee.
The Tuskegee Tigers.
Yes. And where's Tuskegee?
In Alabama.
Alabama.
Oh wow. Okay. So
I know there was something about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
They,
Okay.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. Yes, mental health. So Joseph Williams, the misunderstood social worker. I do want to share that our guest this evening was recently in Swerve magazine on the January-February edition in 2019.
Oh.
Very established. He has a lot to say. He's very knowledgeable. I mean, he makes you think outside of the box. Makes you think not like a regular person. It makes you think and opens up your eyes and ears to things that are going on in the world. It makes you woke. He wakes you up.
Oh wow!
Check him out on Facebook, the misunderstood social worker.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. That was nice. Aww. So let's get into some things. Come on, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, brother.
Let's get into
it. So mental health. So I know that you work as a social worker. Can you tell us a little about your background?
I am a licensed social worker in the District of Columbia. So for those who don't know, I've never written a referral for welfare, for housing, for food stamps. Social workers, I'm what you call a clinical social worker. So I provide mental health therapy. I have a background in the school system, juvenile justice, as well as working with families in the LGBTQ community. I provide counseling in the areas of depression, as well as ADHD, some other stuff. Just a plethora of things, 19 years of experience. I'm really excited to be here.
Good resume,
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely.
What age range? So you say with teenagers, adolescents?
Well,
my
it's funny. My original background was with teens.
Okay.
I have a mentor by the name of Maurice Butler, who's a well-known social worker in the District of Columbia, and I was
shout out to Brother Maurice.
Shout out to Brother Maurice Butler. I was kind of led into the school system when I first started graduate school at Howard, working with teenagers, and then I fell in love with that process, and then I realized that I'm a guru in that area because I'm a big kid. And so I dealt with a lot of youth in special education who were dealing with emotional disturbances, oppositional defiant disorders, major depression, ADHD, educational issues, which then, kind of transitions into emotional disturbances, which are all like, school diagnostics. Then I transitioned out of that into the child welfare system, and then I fell in love with the passion of working with African American men and women and families. And so primarily I work with the football field. So I have no specific group that I work with. I have been active with the LGBTQ community, which is a community that I am part of. But I can work with anybody, and most of my clients that I work with now are heterosexual men who are dealing with divorce, depression, a bunch of other stuff. So I'm really excited.
You're very versed. You're like hitting all corners of like
absolutely
just people, just demographics, races, age range.
Absolutely, completely versatile.
Great.
I'm sorry.
Totally fine.
Right.
So speaking of ADHD, so I'm very passionate. Something that I'm very passionate about is just diagnosis of ADHD to kids. So I feel like in schools, specifically public schools, teachers are fast to like get parents involved in getting their children tested for ADHD and putting them on prescription drugs. And I think for me, when I see the teachers doing that and going through that route fast, I think that there is a cop-out. And I look at it as, they put the children underneath those substance or the medication, and it alters their state of being. They become like a different person, in my view. So my question for you is, and you're free to just chime in on anything I said or comment or correct me on anything that I've said, or
No, you're fine.
give me your feedback on it. But do you diagnose children with ADHD, or what's your involvement in the process, and what's your outlook on it as far as
so
teachers in schools?
You want the real truth or the fake truth?
The real truth.
Okay. I'm not sure if any of my followers are watching, but as an African American man, I'm very funny about diagnosing ADHD in particularly African American boys. When I have a client or a parent that brings a client in my office and I have to, render a diagnostic, I tend to recommend that they go see a neurologist at their primary care doctor before I bring forth a diagnosis of ADHD. There are actual factual diagnostics of ADHD, and I'm not going to discount that.
Okay.
However, I will say this. I've had parents bring children to me who are frustrated with their kids. We've had younger parents who may have a 7-year-old, mama 23, and she's just like, something wrong with him. And out of the blue, I'm being told like, well, he doesn't sit still, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. But then the kid has all straight A's in school. And I'm like, well, is he showing this behavior at school? She's like, no. And I'm like, well, your child does not have ADHD. Remember, in order to render a diagnostic of ADHD, you have to show it in 2 settings, either at home or at school. The lack of attention, there's so many different variables with ADHD. We can go into the whole diagnostic, but we're not here to do that.
Yeah.
But I will say this. What I tend to do, I tend to recommend that they go to their neurologist first, get a referral to me, and then I'll probably move forward with the diagnostic of ADHD. There are so many variables which lead to a diagnostic. I believe diet has a lot to do with a child's behavior, lack of discipline in the home.
So as far as diet is just eating like
hot dogs,
like sugary
foods that are unhealthy. It's been known studies that they've changed young African American youth's diets and their behaviors changed. I believe that we need to kind of start pushing more of that healthy eating in our communities. But eating hot dogs and eating chicken and eating McDonald's and stuff like that, I believe does contribute to behaviors. But on the flip, there are children who do struggle with attention. There have been youth who have come forward and said that by them putting me on Ritalin or different medications, I feel more focused now. So I can't really paint it with a broad stroke and say that some of the diagnostics aren't valid, but I'm very funny with just throwing that diagnostic. Then we have to consider most of the African American youth that are diagnosed with ADHD, they are more than likely in the public school setting from lower socioeconomic communities. And so you might have a child who has their own level of independent thinking. Just say she or he is 7 years old and they decide to get on the floor and read their book while everybody else is reading. And the teacher will be like, they were inappropriate. But then you can go to a Montessori school or a private school and, and another teacher will be like, oh, look, guys, Bobby's reading under his desk. Let's all find a secret reading place. They encourage that independent behavior. So I think that sometimes we have to consider curriculum. We have to consider socioeconomic dynamics in the home. Some children are at the mercy of the public school system. They don't have a level of discipline and focus at home, so it's a free-for-all in every setting for them. So it could be the lack of, I ain't gonna say home training, but the lack of discipline with families. So it's so many different things.
So like how you said, like independent, like just having the child do that, be creative or be like a being, like not like a sit into this box of like the set schedule at school. So they're not like at their desk there and sitting down and coloring a book or doing something like outside of the box what they're supposed to be doing, like not watching the TV screen or they're watching a movie at school or reading a book or whatever they're supposed to be doing in the classroom. So, I'm all about spirituality. So my take is that we're all spiritual beings having a physical experience. So, a lot of us in this world, they put us into this box at school. So your children go to school, they're supposed to like study English, history, math, a lot of subjects. Some things we don't even use. Some kids don't even use as they become adults. So they're fit into a box, but everybody's creative beings. Everybody's a spiritual being. Everybody's different. So you're having a spiritual being fit into this physical world, this physical box, and they're fresh out the spirit realm because they're been on earth less than adults, so they're more attached to their spirit side. They're being more creative. They're more in tune to like creativity and just being independent. You said the word independent, just being who they are as spiritual beings. So when I look at a diagnosis of ADHD, I'm like, it's okay that the kid didn't want to read the story about Tales on the Hill, because when I was a kid, and I made straight A's, by the way, but I wanted to make straight A's, but even with making straight A's, those subjects were very boring.
Let me ask you this question. Can you sit here for 4 hours? Can you sit right here in this spot for 4 hours?
No. After this Facebook Live, I'm done. I'm moving
around. You're going to have to get up and move around.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go to the bathroom. You might want to put some water in your mouth.
Yeah.
Something, right? Can you imagine you're telling a 7-year-old to sit in this spot for 2 hours right before lunch?
No.
You can't do that. But then you can go to schools like KIPP, which is a well-known school programming from here to Texas, or you can go to some of these Montessori schools where they have activities with the kids all throughout the day. The children are wore out when they get home.
Mm-hmm.
In most of the public school settings, they're giving children handouts. Read this paper, do this computer assignment, and then we're done, but you need to sit still and be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Is that education? Is that academic? Children explore their environments. They have to touch, smell things.
Exactly.
Like, for instance, I'm going to give an example. I saw a very adorable video of a little black boy. His father was holding him, and his father had gold fronts in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a prime example of how, babies and children, they have to taste, smell, touch things.
Mm-hmm.
So his father had gold teeth in his mouth, and it was a toddler, and he was touching it in his dad's mouth with his teeth, and his dad was like this. And he's like, "You like it?" And the little boy instantly drew into his dad's mouth and put his mouth on his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I have to taste it. I have
Yeah.
to smell it. I have to touch it in order
Yeah.
for me to be able to understand it. That's a human response. So when you think about children explore their environments. And so we have to think about what is called applied learning. A lot of children of color, there's a lot of applied learning in our communities which have been handed down. Applied learning is that you show me how to do something and I act it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As opposed to just reading a book. How do I show this? How do I make this more activity-based? Some of the better programs, better school programming have shown that applied learning activities are better for children so they can be more active, so they can be more independent in thinking and creative. So a lot of times you have these diagnostics based on a level of frustration and behavioral modification. Something must be wrong with him. He's not listening. Mm-hmm. He's not doing this. He's not sitting still. He's squirming. He's doing this. Most ADHD children are very smart.
I agree.
Are very creative.
Yeah.
Are very sound with understanding things.
Yeah.
They just probably might be bored in class.
Yeah.
Some. I'm saying some. But there are some children who do have inattention, who do have hyperactivity issues.
Correct.
But those things can be shifted with behavioral modifications. They don't necessarily have to be through medication. They can be through other forms of behavioral modification. If you mamas, daddies, if you have children, just say you got a son, ladies, and the dad is involved, but he don't live with you. Y'all ain't together no more. When he goes to his dad's house on the weekend, you two need to be on the same page when it comes to regimenting your child. Mm-hmm. You need to be asleep by 6 o'clock. You need to be doing this by this time. You need to be doing this. You need to do 2 hours of your homework. You need to sit with your child. Mamas, stop just letting these children sit and do their homework while their cell phone is sitting on the table. Won't you help them review their homework? If you can't do it, mama, get somebody else in your family to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the problem. A lot of our youth are at the mercy of the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
The only knowledge they're going to get is when they're at school.
Correct.
They're not going to get it from home and everything else. And we got to call it out. We have to call it out.
So whose responsibility is it? Is it the parent? Is it the school? Is it the whole community? The parent, the school system?
So what we define as community? What do we define as community? We could talk about family, right? Sometimes parents don't have the wherewithal. Sometimes parents struggle.
Yeah, some parents are just very busy, just trying to maintain
Absolutely.
life, trying to put food on the table, working, maintaining their own significant other relationships.
But every parent got to know somebody that's actively involved with academics and education. Every parent, I don't care where you're from.
Seek help.
Yes, you can
seek
come.
help. If you don't have it in your schedule to do it, like reach out to your family, your friends, your mother. Your neighbor, it takes a village.
It takes a village.
Child, yeah.
So I think every parent, single mama, single daddy, we gotta curate great dynamics for our children.
Mm-hmm.
We have to curate that. If you are a single dad and you have daughters or you have a daughter, have a bunch of women around. Mm-hmm. Always that's going to fill her with things that she needs to know as a young woman. If you are a single mother mom and the dad is not available, or you just don't get along with the man, have positive male role models of any walk of life, of any spectrum.
I like that you mentioned that. So we live in
Yeah.
a world right now with a lot of single mothers, and
Yeah.
it's been that way for some time period, specifically in the black community. We see that, most households are just a single mother, and the dad is somewhere, not involved with the family, not involved with young black men. And I think that's played a part in just the stigma, the mental health stigma, and just the depression that occurs in black men as well. We can talk and get into that too.
Well, I think, okay, yeah, we can go there.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
So you want to talk about depression in black men, or where do you want to go with it? Because we can go. I can take you to a place with that too.
We're black men, so let's go into it. This
Okay.
depression in black men, I see it. It's there. It's becoming an issue.
Y'all remember that song? You remember that song by Beyonce called "I Got a Big Ego"?
I think we all remember that song.
You know what an ego is? Ego functioning, ego psychology.
And for me, coming from my spiritual background, I'm looking at ego versus spirit. So I don't know if we're talking about the same.
Okay, I'm gonna say something.
Okay,
I'm gonna say something very provocative right
Go
now.
ahead.
Women have stronger egos than men. That's just the way God designed it.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that usually your ego, you have ego strengths by being able to be vulnerable to certain dynamics. So stereotypically they say women are more emotional. Even if they are emotional, even if they're loopy about things, they're expressing themselves in some dynamic. Both gay and straight men, they are taught, or they behave in such a way where we hide behind things, or we buffer our true emotions through behaviors, through physicality, right? So don't cry. You're a little boy. A girl will just cry. Why are you always crying?
Yeah.
But she's building her strength in that area.
Correct.
So you might have a male who might be depressed, but don't know how to tell people he's depressed, but he's going out getting high every night, or sleeping around, or being negative to people, or being angry, or or directly correlating his emotions to how many people he's sleeping with, or whatever. So a lot of times that vulnerability is kind of frowned upon, where we start to make that a big thing. So a lot of us are suffering with depression and not seeking the help that we need. A lot of times when you look at some of our brothers who I love very much, and I'm enthralled about black men. I'm enthralled, I was raised in a patriarch. I was raised by my granddaddy. I have nothing but uncles. My mother's the only female, so I was raised around nothing but strong men. So I think that the thing that my grandfather always pushed was that we need to talk. When I tell you we had so many family meetings amongst uncles, and my mother would be the only lady there.
Family meetings?
Yes.
I never had a family meeting in my life. I mean, we're having them now, but it's growing up, I was very to myself just growing up. And my dad, I really didn't have a male figure
I just
growing
recall,
up. So that's a very different story that
I just recall my granddaddy saying this to my uncles. Is there something that you need? Is there something that you're missing? Is there something that's hurting you?
That is so needed right now.
Is there something that's breaking you? If you need people to step out so you can tell me what it is, if there's somebody in the room that you'd rather share that with, we can all make that arrangement for you. But right now you have a right to say what's bothering you and not be judged for it. There have been many times we've all had to leave the room and then come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so my grandfather taught me, as a person who was developing into a healer and a therapist, to look at a brother and say, hey, look, you don't deserve to feel whatever it is you're feeling is hurting you. I know right now you might be a little raw about it, but I don't care how it sounds, how it looks. You deserve to be able to dump that on somebody. Let me hear it. So I think once you create a perfect space for a man to be vulnerable, for him to be open, and for him to be able to let that loose, that's when the healing starts. I had a brother come in.
That's good. I like to add to that though. So I witnessed that in school. So I went to one of my nephews. He had a grandparents' day. My sister and I, his godparents, who went to the school. So we talked to the teacher, and she was just showing us around the classroom. And she mentioned that this is like the emotion timeout, little meditation, not timeout, but like meditation type section of the room. So it's very colorful. They had a beanie bag, they had little things that they can play with, and just things that they can use to like identify what emotion they're feeling. So if they're angry, upset, sad, any type of emotion they're feeling. And it was like a safe space for them to go to at any moment in time. during the day at school, and they can just go there and just be there until they felt like they overcame whatever emotion that they were going through. But it was that awareness, and for them being able to like just say, hey, I'm having this moment. It's like it was them expressing themselves, even at that very young age in pre-K. And I think that was very important because I was never taught that. I mean, I didn't know about emotions and feelings and just expressing it until like my 30s.
Right, and see, you know what though, and I think it's important because within the Black community, oh my goodness, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Toni Morrison. Yes. I believe that I love that woman, and God rest her soul. Lord Jesus, I miss her. Never met her before. I did think I was gonna meet her one day, but she passed too soon. But Toni Morrison, the book Beloved. The book Beloved. I want everybody who's watching this, who will watch this, don't think about the Oprah Winfrey film shot by Jonathan Demme. I need you to go back and read the book Beloved.
Read the book.
Read the book.
Books are always better.
Read the book, which is a Pulitzer, which is won the Nobel, which is... Toni Morrison is one of the most celebrated authors in the world, and she will be up there with Faulkner and Hemingway and all of these people. But the reason why she wrote that book, Beloved, it was about a slave woman, right? And if you look at the title Beloved, the definition of beloved means the most loved. The most loved, that's all it means. And remember at the end of the movie, if you've seen the movie and not read the book, remember when Setha said, she leave me, and Paul D said, I know, when Beloved left, and Oprah said, she was my best thing. And Paul D said, no, you your best thing. And she was like, me? The point of Beloved, even whether it was a ghost or not, it was how your past can haunt you and destroy you and tell you that you're not worthy of something. And now it's your turn to start loving yourself. And it's okay to love yourself. And it's okay to create spaces to be healed from those things. That's what that book is truly about. Yeah, we could talk about the ghost and the girl walking out naked and getting pregnant. Yeah, we can go into that. But the ghost was more of a pain, of a hurt that haunts, that sits, that lingers, that we wallow in. And so when we talk about these safe spaces, right? I love hearing that word safe space because we always think that we have to put a symbol on the door that said, this is a safe space. Yeah. No, a safe space is wherever there's love and affection. My home is a safe space. Yeah. My computer is a safe space for me to just be honest. Correct. My cell phone is a safe space for me to write notes and say positive things to myself. Me being around my best friends, my best male friends, my best female friends, me sitting here with you is a safe space. Correct. You understand where I'm coming from? So how do we as a Black community start creating more safe spaces outside of, with all due respect, outside of churches, outside of bars, and how do we create a safe space for somebody? So what you just described is having that sacred corner, having that place, that floor, that pillow that you can lay on where you can release those things. Because I'm gonna tell you that pain destroys us, expectations destroy us, and our own thoughts can destroy us based on how we're processing. Correct.
Yeah. So no, you're saying safe space. So like safe space, like you mentioned, like a notepad, going to your computer, your laptop. But also, I think that as you get older, like you need like somebody to talk to. Like you need like a relationship in those safe spaces. So how do we find, or how do we create safe spaces when there's so much judgment in the world? So people are quick to judge. When I'm me as a man, in 30s and 30 something. When I go to a friend and I say, oh, I'm depressed, I'm sad, or if I cry to somebody, or cry to a family member, or, there's some judgment that occurs a lot. And sometimes it appears like you're a weak person, you're not, even the strongest people sometimes, they need to like have a safe space through relationship. So how do
I want somebody on this feed to write the words, 2 words, personal agency, right? Personal agency. If somebody could write that. If somebody could write that word, personal agency.
Come on, Judy, yeah.
If somebody could write the word, personal agency.
Personal agency.
We waiting, man. While I'm waiting for somebody to write it. While I'm waiting for somebody to write it, I'm going to tell you in definition based on what I see it as. Personal agency. Somebody wrote it. Christopher Clark wrote
Christopher
agency.
Clark.
Yes. Okay. Lena wrote personal agency.
Lena.
Yes. So personal agency is your leadership of you. right? So we could say, I went and talked to my mother about heartbreak. Though I felt judged, I told her, right? And I may not have been comfortable sharing everything. So when we talk about personal agency, sometimes it may not be a family member or a friend or a bestie or that good cousin that you can talk to. Maybe it might be somebody who don't know you. And as a therapist, I'm going to always push and promote therapy. I'm going to always say to individuals, it doesn't have to be somebody that you're close to. It can be somebody that barely knows you.
You know, oftentimes I found we share information, like personal information, to somebody who doesn't know you, like a stranger, or even somebody just walking on the street or in the elevator. They're more open and receptive to hearing what you have to say and giving like good, honest, like non-biased feedback, because they don't have any past history of you, and they're just looking at you as an individual, and they just not judging you, and they don't have like any past.
But hopefully you're doing that. Hopefully you're doing that with discernment, because everybody got their own hangups.
Correct.
And so I always believe that if there's something that's this hovering, that's bringing you down, that's causing a mood shift, because we need to define depression. I believe that it's always good to have a venting space. I'm a mental health therapist. I was told by my therapist that I need to be in therapy for the rest of my life.
That's a personal, subjective decision. I mean,
my therapist told me that I need to be in therapy for the rest of my life.
How do you feel about that? I don't know if you need to.
I was enthralled about it. You know why?
I mean, go ahead.
No, she said to me that you have a lot of complex ideas that I think that the people that you're surrounded by won't be able to process.
I can relate to
So
that.
you always need to be able to vent to somebody.
I can
she said
understand
you need higher functioning psychotherapy, meaning you need a space to dump on people.
Correct.
And on a person. And I've been in therapy for 6 years now. And I'm a therapist.
Yeah. No.
And that's been one of the most healing things that I've ever been able to do.
No, I get that. Just being the reciprocity and just like connection and just conversation, meaningful conversation. But also where you feel like you're giving information to people and like they're understanding it, and there's like a constant flow and communication.
Yeah.
Going back.
Absolutely.
Mom said, "Wow."
Yeah.
So.
And I wasn't offended.
Wasn't offended
by the
comment
because I'm gonna be honest with you. She told me that you're strong. And a lot of people that you are around are probably not strong enough to manage you. So
I can relate.
I felt that.
Yeah.
So think about a pastor who's healing. A pastor would not be as apt to say, I'm hurting or I'm weak right now.
Correct.
And me as a therapist, I'm one of the babies in my family. I'm in my 40s, but I'm one of the babies in my family. A lot of times my older brothers are like, I don't know how to help you through this. My older brothers come to me for stuff. They come to me for advice.
So you need a space where you can share that information.
Absolutely. I need a space where I can fall apart.
Yeah.
I can fall apart.
Pastors, leaders, presidents. Yeah, those people are often forgotten. It's like there's a saying now: check on your strongest friend, right? But sometimes the strongest people, they need somebody to lean on, and that's kind of like going along those lines. Like, yeah, we all need somebody to lean on sometimes. Yeah. So, brother, you can lean on me.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
So one more thing. Mental health, mental awareness. So there's been some talk. I know Taraji P. Henson has been talking about it lately. As far as like mental education, like there's not enough awareness out there about it. So one thing that she said, it should be a part of the curriculum in schools. So something that they teach our students. Because a lot of the subjects that we talk about, a lot of subjects in schools is crafted based on how the world and the United States or whoever wants to dump information to people. But the most important things, I feel like mental health awareness, but also like financial literacy, like sexual education. Those things are not really.
Let me say this. Shout out to Taraji P. Henson, because I like the fact that she's making it black. And so just as a mental health practitioner who works primarily with African American people and the types of insurances that I'm billing, a lot of times black people are given overexerted diagnostics. A lot of times, like, you can have a black person with a personality disorder. Now, a personality disorder doesn't make you be emotionally sick. It just makes you have a character flaw, this ego dystonic. But
ego dystonic. Go ahead. That's a big word. What is that?
Oh, okay. Okay. As we have a therapist sitting on that side of the room too. Okay, guys. Ego syntonic means that this is something that you know is part of who you are. Ego dystonic is like, have any of you ever woke up angry, or you woke up sad, or you started to realize that you started to behave in a certain way that wasn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Where you
like early in the morning?
No, not just early in the morning. Where just say something. Just say something fell on you. Where you're like, I can't sleep. I haven't been able to sleep in like a couple of weeks.
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Or I've been angry or sad for the last couple of days.
Yeah,
that's not usually my.
Yeah, I catch myself a lot.
That means that that's ego dystonic.
Okay.
Just say that you being a mean person, you don't see a problem with it. You don't even know that it's a problem. That means it's egocentric. That means it's part of who you are. So something that's ego dystonic is like when you wake up and be like, I don't know why I'm sad. I'm depressed. I don't feel good about myself. That means you're starting to realize something's different, and I probably need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have African American people who have personality disorders that they get diagnosed with bipolar disorder, that they get diagnosed with schizophrenia and all this other stuff, but they do that for insurance purposes because they can bill off of those things. I think that the mental health education that Taraji P. Henson, shout out to Taraji, because I've been having this conversation on social media for about 5 years, and I'm loving the fact that, you know, Charlamagne the God and all these people are now talking about mental health, and it's dope that so many great people are being added to this conversation, except for me. But you know, and I've been out in the paint, but you know, it is what it is, and I got viral videos, but whatever. I'm a little mad about that, but the thing is that I'm glad that it's happening now, because there needs to be some level of education behind mental health. We're starting to see articles written by Ebony and Essence magazine that are saying that more Black people are accessing mental health and counseling. That number is true, but it's not necessarily true. So what I mean by that is this: more African American people are accessing mental health services at a rapid number. True. More African American people are accessing mental health services based on the benefits associated with mental health services, like SSI, like SSDI, like housing opportunities and stuff like that. They're not doing it because they're voluntarily coming in. So there's still a stigma based on mental health services. Okay, so yes, we are accessing those services, but me as a therapist who works in the realm of private practice, I get people coming to me talking about, can you diagnose me with bipolar disorder because I'm homeless and I need to get $720 a month so I can pay for housing. Yeah. And then I'm not going to come see you for therapy.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been happening more and more. Now, I'm able to spot those things. So, but then I do get clients who voluntarily come in. I'm working with, I can't say who, but I've worked with former NFL players who have resigned, who have retired, I mean. I've worked with up-and-coming artists who are, you know, trying to deal with, how do I deal with the pressures of fame? I'm working with young African-American boys who just want to feel better about themselves. And so the point that I always tell my clients in therapy is that my goal, this is how I say it, guys, for those therapists who are watching, don't bite my stuff. I say, you deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve to feel good about your circumstance and situation. And anything that you've gone through, I can't fix it, but you can, but I apologize for everything that you've been through. So now we can start healing. And usually when I say that, they all break down and cry.
Really?
And they never had an apology. The amount of sexual abuse that I get from both men and women, and I've been shocked to hear a lot of female clients that have come to me of all ages saying that they were actually molested by other women.
A lot of past trauma. Do you think that's the leading cause in adults, like with mental?
A lot of past trauma, a lot of sexual abuse.
Health and depression. It's like a lot of past.
A lot of emotional abuse. Okay. A lot of emotional
abuse from who? Parents?
Oh, no.
Significant others?
I've had at least, in my practice in the last 4 years, I've had at least over 50 young African American boys, millennials, come to me and say that my mother brought a lot of men around me. And I saw those men disrespect her. And they disrespected me. And they emotionally abused me. And a lot of boys are funny about that. My mother brought too many men around me. I didn't want to see my mother seeing other guys. I knew she wasn't with my dad, but just all the men that was in and out of our house.
Because she's trying to find love, you know, she's probably got a heartbreak.
But we have to be cognizant of that, ladies. We have to be cognizant of that. Girls are funny about that too. My dad brought a lot of women around me. they internalize that as they get older.
Yes.
They have a wayward way of thinking. Some girls, or some of them, look at them as, "What are you doing?"
Do they continue on that same route as their dad?
They could.
They look at women like, you know, if you join my celibacy Facebook Live, they look at the women like me. No, real talk. No, real talk.
Yeah.
They look at them just like me, like, you know. But it's in them. Like, they saw it growing up, and like that's what they're used to. So they just follow along that same path as their dad. You know, some people call that generational curse.
Yeah.
Or going along that same pattern.
Right.
No, this is good. This is good. So how do we end this? How do we just continue these conversations? Is that the first?
So that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's not about ending, because, you know, trauma, circumstances, dynamics happen all the time, and it's ongoing. It's an ongoing process. I think open conversation, taking the stigma out of actually seeking the help that you need. And I think before we end this live, you need to, there's a national hotline for mental health services that you can access, and they'll link you to your county, to your state, to where you live at, where you can access those services.
Okay.
I want to tell anybody who's listening to this, or anybody who this will be shared with, if you are sad, if you are anxious about something, understand that you don't deserve to feel that way. That is an undeserving feeling. You do not deserve to be sad or worried about something.
Life is too short, people.
And I want people to realize this.
Short.
And let me speak on this. Let me speak on this. Anxiety is in the future. Always remember that.
Okay.
Anxiety is in the future. It's thinking about something that you can't see. Thinking about the result of something that you are not physically present with. Anxiety can also be caused by being rigid in your thinking. Being very rigid.
Overthinking.
No, rigid is this. Oh, this light-skinned dude was mean to me. This light-skinned low connection. Okay, we back in order.
Okay.
So for the ladies in the room, oh my God, I'm in my 30s. I don't have any children. No one's dating me. I'm not gonna ever get married and have children. No one's coming to me and have expressed an interest in me. So I'm ugly. That's rigid. That's rigid. That's a rigid way of thinking. So a lot of times your anxiety or depression is based on the way you think about things. And I'm gonna simplify depression and anxiety.
Okay.
Depression and anxiety is thoughts and behaviors. What's in your mind is causing you to think and behave a certain way. So I always tell people, change your thoughts and your behaviors. And people say, oh, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. It is that easy. It ain't. It's hard work. But once you do the work, it's easy. We can't change the cards that we're dealt. You know, my mom was on drugs. My mom struggled with addiction. She was a great mom, though. She was very fun. She was very funny and attractive. She taught me how to be fly. She said some amazing stuff. I never seen her do drugs. She was very functional. But when I see on Mother's Day people out with their moms, when I see people say, I called my mom today, or when I say, you know, my mother sent me $1,000 because I was behind on this, I don't have that story. My mom is deceased. And so, you know, I could say, oh, that makes me sad. Actually, it just empowers me, because the stuff that she put inside of me and amidst her dynamic has made me a stronger person.
The stuff that she put inside of you,
right,
that is very, very important to to make that analogy and make that distinction, because a lot of people look at like material things, but it's all about what your parents put inside of you, not what they gave you.
She told me stay away from drugs, stay away from bad people.
That mindset.
Love everybody. And if you have a bad day, it's okay to have a bad day, but don't hold on to your bad day.
Some key fundamental life.
And she said, love all black men. My mother told me that. And my granddaddy told me, my grandfather said, you always support women. You're never going to win with a woman. Respect women. Do what they tell you to do. And even when they're wrong, they're going to find a way to be right, so you ain't going to never win. But with black men, if they come and say they need help, you need to help them. Because it's hard. So let your focus be men and try to lift them and uplift them and make them feel better about their situation. Women going to always stand behind you. Not that they don't need the help.
Yeah.
But if a brother says, help me, help them. And you'll be able to tell when it's real and when it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So always remember that depression and anxiety is thoughts and behaviors. The way you're thinking about something that happened is causing you to behave a certain way. Staying up late at night, losing your appetite, feelings of sadness, worthlessness, thinking of death, weight gain, weight loss, feeling angsty and angry, having outbursts, moodiness. All of that is based on the way you're processing what's happening to you. You do not deserve to feel that way. No one deserves to feel that way. So what one piece can we look at today? And I want everybody to think about that, your viewers. What's one thing that you can do today that you can remove? Not your life, but what's one little piece that you can remove out of your life that will probably make you feel better? And if you can identify that piece, you're in trouble. Because that means that you're not doing nothing about it.
Oh.
If you
if you could identify but you're not doing anything about it, one thing you could remove because it's currently in your life right now.
Because there are people who come to my office and be like, I'm sad and I don't know why. And they don't know what's causing them to be sad. But there are some people there are some people that can say, I'm upset because of this, that, and the third. And I'm sitting there going like, wow. And now you just come in here. So that means that you haven't done nothing about it. What's causing you not to be motivated to do something about it? I don't know. You do know. Why don't you know? I don't know. Let's go there.
Are you looking for somebody else to do it? A lot of times they're looking for other people, their friends, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, spouse, mother,
so
brother.
This magazine, and this magazine is material.
Yes.
There's material in this magazine, right? And can I touch your head?
Go ahead.
There's material in here.
Yeah.
There's material in here. And so when I talk about a person, I always do this. If anybody who watches The Misunderstood Social Worker, I always do this. I always go like this. I point to your head and your heart. I always do this.
Okay.
Because your heart just pumps blood.
Correct.
But we've made the heart a thing.
Yeah.
Right? So the head and the heart are connected because the heart is the source of you. That's what keeps you living, right? So there's something there, but everything is in your mind. So this is what keeps you going a certain way. This is what keeps you behaving a certain way. This is what makes you thinking, oh, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. My mom don't like me. I hate this person. All these things interconnect. So once you start, if you can identify, this is all I'm going to say. If you can identify the stressor, and you can say that this is the thing that's making me be this way.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. Because somehow you're failing, or you have a fear of using the tool that's here that you can remove it.
Exactly.
No, so you have the tools.
Yeah, everything starts in the mind. So you can change your mindset about anything, anything you want to do on earth.
And
I've
so
said that plenty of times.
Right. And my job as a therapist is to show you that you got a strong tool. And I can show you how to use it.
Thank you, brother.
That's all.
Thank you. You all have strong tools. Identify that one thing, remove it. Yes. If it's still there, there's an issue. Change your mindset about it. Thank you all for joining. Have a blessed and prosperous week. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
The Misunderstood Social Worker.
Thank you for having me, Derek. I really appreciate it.
First magazine, February 2019. Has a 3-day spread starting on page 19.
Yeah, thank you.